Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the football experience. What a big weekend. And I'm not just talking results, I'm talking news as well. Because yesterday, some pretty shocking news broke from the EPL. Um, we won't touch on it too much, Caleb, because right now it's been put forth to like an independent panel or something like that. So it's just allegations at this point, but it's pretty serious allegations. Like it's 100 breaches of financial. It's not financial. It's like the EPL's financial fair play, but like 100 breaches, not just like one or two.
Yeah.
So you would think even if they're found
It's like
guilty,
Ivan Tony's betting like alleged breaches as well. Wasn't there like an obscene amount of them
yeah,
as well?
yeah. So
Crazy.
so like even if like 90 of them are waived, like so that not even if 90% of them or even 95% of them are waived, that's still like 10 breaches or 5 breaches. So we won't until a decision is actually made. Right now it's just speculation on what can happen. So like obviously like points deduction can happen. Um, point like relegation can happen, so they can be suspended from the EPL and relegated
I
down to
did
the
hear that one.
championship. But I don't know whether they're. I think they might be looking potentially at points deductions from the years that they actually were at fault, because the years that they are in breach is from 2009 to 2018. So they won between that period. They won 7 Premier Leagues, if I'm not mistaken,
Seven? No, I think it's
or is
what?
it 6? Because they won 4 under Pep.
Yeah,
Oh no, but
six.
not between that period. Between that period, they didn't win. I think they won 2 under Pep between that period, because Pep won 2 afterwards after
Oh yeah,
2018.
so it's not the most
Yeah,
recent two.
so it might only be 4. So like Mancini
Four.
won
Yeah.
2,
Mancini and Pellegrini, and then two from Pep.
so 5. So 5 Premier Leagues.
Well, I don't know where the cutoff point is because look, my bigger thing on this is like I just don't care at this stage. I don't care about this news at this stage because right now it means nothing to
Yeah,
me.
it's
Like
just an
until,
allegation.
but it's funny because everyone's bringing up the story about UEFA's punishments and how that was meant to be a 2-year ban from the Champions League. And I remember like kind of seeing it, and I still didn't care even at that news. And then eventually, I was validated for not caring because it was overturned and everything was fine. So like, until something happens and then stays happened, like I just don't really
But
care about this.
But you know what? Mourinho said, like, why were they even fined? Because the fine got, like, reduced. So the ban got removed and the fine got reduced from 30 mil to 10 mil. And Mourinho was like, why are they even getting fined? Like, if you're not guilty, there shouldn't even be a fine. So either they're guilty and you fine them and you ban them, or they're not guilty and you don't do anything at all. But they were not guilty, and then they also paid like a $10 million fine. It's like, why is the fine existing at all if you're not
Look,
guilty?
obviously that's for legal sort of
Yeah,
rigmarole. That's like Mourinho's putting it very simplistically. But I think it hits on the bigger point. And like the bigger point I'd make about things like this, even the Juve ban and stuff like this, like it's just not that serious, guys. I don't want this sort of politicized. I don't want this sort of financial bullshit. Like I would prefer to see us like cap the amount that we can like just pay for this like football. Like we need to scale this back because it's just not that serious. I don't care about shit like this. Like we shouldn't be looking into like legal things for a game of football and be like, oh, we need to revoke them of titles or stuff like this. It's just, especially in these cases where one is like, I'm inflating the value of my players. Well, everyone does that. And the other one is we've got investment and they want to put in money, but there's this set of arbitrary rules that don't allow us to put in as much money as we want. It's like, who cares? Just let them put in as much money as they want into the club. Like, money does not guarantee you anything in this game. We saw it and we were talking about it in the last pod with the Premier League and how much they spend, yet it doesn't necessarily translate into European success because there are still smart clubs out there and they know how to use their resources and money better. So at the end of the day, I don't know why these rules exist. So I don't care on that aspect. And I just think just let them, if they want to pump in that much money, just let them pump in that much money. Who cares?
Yeah.
Can't buy you instant success. It gives you a good chance, no doubt, but it just, there is still, you still need to play the game of football. And that's the thing I care about, basically.
I'm sort of torn between the two. I'm torn between, because I do believe in free market and free market investment. So if someone does want to come in, buy a club, put their own money into the club, and risk losing their own money, that's on them. If because projects can go completely to shit. Money doesn't buy instant success. Yes, it got Man City to where they are in terms of Premier League success, but have they won a Champions League yet? Nope.
Exactly.
Chelsea as well. They've only won. They've won 2 Champions Leagues, to be fair, but they've won less Premier Leagues than Man City. Correct. So, and they've spent over a longer period of time. They've spent way more than what City have spent. But then I'm also torn between. Well, these clubs are then inflating the transfer market, so it makes it harder for the clubs that try to, I guess, do things organically compete. For instance, United do things organically. They're not getting any owner investment. Arsenal as well, Liverpool as well. They're getting some owner investment, but minimal compared to Chelsea and Man City. Bayern Munich do things organically as well, and a lot of German clubs. But yeah, so I'm torn between the two, between doing things organically and then also letting someone with money build up a club, build up the community of the club as well. Maybe there should be a balance. So if you buy a club, you have a 3-year or a 5-year window to invest, I don't know, as much as you want, or maybe there's a cap. But the cap is a lot larger than I don't know. Maybe find a balance. But the one thing that I want to hit on as well, if this does unravel and a punishment does end up coming through, let's say it's the strongest punishment possible where they revoke titles. It's not as simple as that. Just handing the titles to second place. What about the teams that finish 5th? So Leicester finished 5th 2 seasons in a row. Arsenal finished 5th numerous seasons. No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying that then because we know how valuable getting into the Champions League is.
Yeah.
And you've pretty much fucked over these clubs that finished 5th. I think West Ham might have finished 5th one season as well, if I'm not mistaken.
What have they done to fuck over these clubs?
Well,
they basically just invested their money into being better on the football pitch, and thus they have been better.
But they also broke rules in doing so.
But what are these bullshit rules? These rules are stupid. These rules just shouldn't for me. It's either cap everything, salary cap it, or don't do shit at all and let it be free. You can't be in this halfway point. It's just pointless to me.
Yeah, I know.
I feel like every club would do this if you dug away at it as well.
Possibly, but look, like I said, I'm torn between the two.
Pioneer of doing this, I feel like most other clubs will be doing it. PSG, no doubt, are doing it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Exactly. I'd feel like Bayern would be doing it. It didn't hurt us go through all of this stuff with the accounting and stuff.
But I'm not sure if with PSG, for instance, I'm not sure if the French league have the same rules in regards to financial fair play that England has. Each league then has their own set of rules. And then you got the UEFA rules as well, which generally the leagues do follow or try to follow. But the one thing go on. The one thing that I then want to draw on and sort of lead into and then sort of wrap up the topic. You know how we were talking about transfer market and trying to bring down the value of players and whatnot. Do you remember the old rule in Italy where you could only field 3 foreign players at a time?
Mm.
So not necessarily bring that in, because remember how AC Milan, they had Van Basten, Hullet, they had 2 other Dutch players, didn't they? They had 4 Dutch players, but they could only field 3 at once. I can't remember the other two.
Rijkaard.
Rijkaard, and there was one more.
That was the famed 3. I don't know who else they had.
I swear there was one more, or maybe there was like one from like a different league. But regardless, they could only field 3 non-Italian nationals. What if we bring in a similar rule to that, but slightly different? So instead of only being able to field 3 whatever league nationals there are, so England, Spain, whatever, actually make it that you have to field of your starting 11. It has to be 3 academy players or players that came through your academy.
That's all well and good, but what if you got a shit academy at the time? I mean, it's your fault, but look, honestly, I don't want I'm not here to talk about nitty gritty and how we need to bring in, because I just railed on the rules, basically. These stupid little nitty gritty rules that for me shouldn't exist. So, I don't want to bring in other rules. What I just want is to speak to the morality of football. What if people just started to show common sense with these stupid amounts of money and this, just like this, the way we've gone absolutely crazy for football. No footballer should ever have gotten to the point where they were worth 9 figures. It never should have happened. It's just insane to me. Like, the world's gone mad. Like, footballers should not be getting paid more than £100,000 a week. And that's even before tax. You just shouldn't. Like, the very best should be getting £100,000 a week. Because think about it, you have a good career for 10 years, you get paid that much, you're at £50 million for your career. Yes, you get it taxed, but if you can't set yourself up with £50 million, I don't know what we're doing. So this is just what I'm saying. Like, football has gone crazy. These figures are ridiculous. The rigmarole around football is insane because of these figures now. It's just very annoying. Like, can we just go back to common sense? Can people, like, be in football for the right reasons? Because if we're suggesting now that having money is all that it takes to win things, and, like, players will only go to clubs because of money, then the game's already gone. Like, players need to be playing for the passion of the game. Like, yes, there are a few mercenaries. Yes, the money helps. And yes, you'll see more people go for the money. And that's completely, like, right to a point. But then I just think, like, once we get to that point, do we need to keep increasing it to the point where Mbappe's getting paid reportedly €1 million every game? Like, that is just ludicrous. It should never happen. Sport should never be that important. That money should go to other places. So for me, it's just, this speaks to, like, what is wrong with where we've gotten to in football in terms of everything surrounding it. It's insane to me, and I hate paying attention to it. Like, I know it's there and it's wrong, but that's why I just sort of tunnel vision my way into, like, the actual game stuff, because this stuff around it just annoys the shit out of me.
Well, I don't want to put all the blame on one entity, but apparently if you compare agent fees, compare agent fees to, like, let's say real estate or Hollywood. Real estate is like 2%. 2.5%. If you sell a house, that's how much you get, right? I think in football, agent fees go as high as 20%. So that plays a big factor as well in terms of transfer fees and player wages and whatnot. But then the question is, if you reduce these transfer fees, if you reduce the transfer wage, the player wages, what do you do with all the extra money? That's
that is the question, and that's
like the club just holds onto it. Like, they can invest it into the stadium, into the training grounds or whatnot, but
into the community, everything like that.
But even that, I think there's still going to be a lot
lower
left
leagues
over. Yeah, like there's
I don't think that's
solutions.
A bad thing, and then
I don't think it's a bad thing either.
Yeah, so we could speculate on what to do with that, but it will never go too far. I think now, but I hope. Just need some people with common sense.
Because I think I suggested, like, when we'll talk about the ludicrous transfer fees, that maybe you set in a rule that 20% of every fee needs to go towards a local community project, like a hospital, a school, etc., etc. So maybe that's something that can be. I don't know. I think there's a lot of solutions. But I don't think they'll ever happen.
The main one is a mentality shift. There just needs to be a mentality shift towards this.
Yeah, 100%. But enough about allegations, speculations. For right now, fantasy thoughts as well. let's get into some football. um,
Fantasy. Don't worry, man. You don't need the fantasy. You're gonna beat them anyway. You're gonna beat
let's
them
hope.
this season anyway.
Let's hope. A bit of help wouldn't be amiss. I don't know. I wouldn't complain if they docked him 30 points, for instance. Like
30.
Hey, 100 allegations.
You know what the damning stat was? It was like if Man City are given a 15-point penalty like Juventus, they're still above Liverpool and Chelsea at the table.
You know what though. The one thing that did cross my mind was if City are taken out of the title race, I can imagine a world, and I hope I'm not speaking this into existence, I can imagine a world where Arsenal slip up and United overtake them, and that wouldn't have happened had City have not docked points, like United winning the league. I'd be like, what the I think everyone would be like, what the fuck? So yeah, like that would be like the craziest timeline ever. Like City are docked points, they're relegated automatically for next season, and then United pipped Arsenal to the title. Like imagine that timeline.
How many points are they behind? 11.
I'm not sure if because there's a game in hand. Like I don't think it is 11 because Arsenal did slip up this weekend.
Oh, down to 8, maybe.
8, but Arsenal have a game in hand. I'm not sure who that game in hand is. I think because City have 21 games as well. So
is one of those games in hand not against City?
No, because then City will go on 22 games and we'd go on 21. So I actually think this Everton game was most likely the fixture that was meant to be now in February, and the game in hand is actually against Everton, but it's at home.
Is that what we're starting on? The Everton game, or are we starting on what happened? Is it first game or well, not first game because Chelsea Fulham played on Friday night. But heaven forbid we start there.
I can't be stuck talking about that.
Hey, Enzo made his debut.
Yeah, he was probably one of the better looking players out of all the players.
No, he did look good.
But yeah, we'll start on the Arsenal Everton Arsenal game. Yeah.
Quick shout out to João Paulinho, who has had a fantastic season in that Fulham midfield, and he's sort of in that. I'm not saying he's as good as Casemiro, but he's in that type of midfielder category. Can play for like 1.3, 1.4 midfielders. So robust, so physical, very impressive.
They even the Fulham fans gave him the Saliba song.
Did they?
Yeah, they did the same thing with the tequila tune. Bloody bastards. Actually, to be fair, I'm not sure who came up with that first.
Maybe they started it.
They started it, so I won't make any accusations or allegations. Since this is the allegation podcast. But man, you know what? I have to give full credit to Everton, and going into this game though, I'm not. I don't think we gave our predictions. I think we just said, like Arsenal should win, but I didn't. Yeah. But going into it, I did say that it could be a potential banana skin because Everton did draw to City, and I think that was at City, and that was under Lampard as well, and they got the infamous new manager bounce where like they got that buff.
Dash.
Yeah, Shawnee boy.
Back. I'm back, you fuckers.
So they have all this like negativity around the club, and then like because a new manager comes in, all the fans then get back on board, and Sean Dyche being an experienced Premier League manager, and especially of a club like Burnley where it's like you have sort of limited funds, you need to work with what you got, then he knows that you then need to work, you then need a high work rate and you need grit. And this wasn't a case of Arsenal being necessarily off the pace. I didn't think we looked awful, but I think it was Everton giving 100% and Arsenal giving 95%. So it was just that extra little bit more that Everton gave, and it was enough to and it was enough to like sort of snuff out what Arsenal were trying to do. So it all came down to really effort and that final product. And you know what? Like the goal came from, I'd say a mistake. Like why is Odegaard marking Tarkowski? And
they played that corner every single time.
And they played him every time.
It was exactly the same.
Yeah, to the back post.
It is a tough one because I've never thought of that in a manager coaching perspective. Like, can you change your set piece tactics halfway through a game? But if you think that you can, that was a case because I don't really look for set pieces, but that was obvious even to me. They're playing one to the back post every single time.
Yeah, but then you look at the replay and like Odegaard is pushed back like 3-4 meters.
Oh, he was bullied.
Yeah, he was bullied. I was just thinking, like, you cannot get bullied that. No. Like, come on.
To your point, it's not good for the optics because that's like it's semantics, but this guy's also wearing the captain's armband.
Yeah, that
and
too.
He's trying to lead you to a title. It just doesn't look good, really, does it? But
yeah,
no, I think Everton put in that good shift.
Yeah,
they played well. They
played well.
What are we gonna say? Like, yeah, I know people like, and I think Daesh is kind of getting credit, and I think here's a point as well because I think people were surprised by Daesh going 4-3-3 rather than 4-4-2, which I don't know why. They're very similar formations. In fact, 4-3-3 might be more defensive for him in these circumstances. But like I remember this with Tony Pulis after he left Stoke and went to Palace. When managers have a time off, you better expect those managers to evolve. And I think what we're going to see is like a steady evolution. He's not going to go away from his fundamentals. But I think he has probably better players than he ever had at Burnley, even though this Everton team isn't great in its own right, but it's still probably better than anything he really had at Burnley. And so I think we'll see like little different nuances, if you could use that word with Sean Dyche. But we'll see little different things and little evolutions from his time off, because I feel like any coach, especially when they want to get back into the game, you better believe that they've used that time off watching a lot of football and picking up things and going to learn off different training grounds and with different managers. So I think a lot of the time we don't take into account the fact that these managers don't have time to like sit there and watch football from all around Europe and the world like a lot of like people who analyze it do. So like they can't just. I feel like they can't really pick up these things that maybe they should be picking up tactically, and sometimes you see them go a bit stale. And then when they have time away and they can do that, they come back into the game and they're a bit refreshed and they got some new ideas to evolve on what they have fundamentally. But yeah, I think we could expect to see that, and I thought it was decent to watch. It was full of effort, and that's what you expect at Goodison Park. And if Everton have tipped themselves off now to him, because now he'll be saying, well, that's the kind of commitment I expect every week. So they're going to have to work hard every week now, because if there's one downfall for those players, now he knows they can work that hard. So, but yeah, it was what you expect from Goodison, and if they play like that, they should stay up. And yeah, to your point, I don't think Arsenal were bad in this game, but I'd be interested to see where you thought they lost this game, basically, where they could have been better, apart from set pieces, obviously. But you can expect to be bullied by a Sean Dyche side.
Yeah, I think that the battle was lost in the midfield. Like there was a slight lack of quality. There was a lack of effort off the ball if you compare it to Everton, and compare it to our usual standards as well. There was a lack of effort. And we didn't move, when we did have the ball, we didn't move it as quick as we usually do. We started moving it quick once we actually went a goal down, and in the last 20 minutes, and Odegaard actually started to pick up the ball in those spaces and try to actually play quickly and try to actually command the ball, which we did not see in the previous 60, 70 minutes. So only when we got a goal scored against us did we see the effort start to come in from the players, whereas up until that point it was just sort of cruise control. And then once the goal came, it's like, oh shit, we're a goal down, we need to chase this game, we need to step up. And like it was only then that we started to slightly get on top of them. But once they're a goal up, they can sit back, they can defend, and yeah,
I hate to
it's
say
it's
it,
pretty
but
hard to break them down then.
I do remember a moment in the first half where the much heralded and much fancied at the moment Eddie Nketiah had a very good chance, a
Very good
very
chance.
presentable chance in the first half.
Yeah.
And honestly, that finish, like, not even I expected that to be that bad, especially the form he's in. The finish was awful. He fucking smashed it out of nowhere, just nowhere. But I don't know. I'm just saying, like, the game changes with that goal, and I don't know. Are you worried?
No. I'd
Would you have been
be
worried if what happened later in the weekend didn't happen, and if
No.
City were to win that game?
No, because even if we win our game in hand, there's a 5-point difference, and there's a 5-point difference right now with us being a game down. So I'd be worried if we lose to Brentford or draw at home at the Emirates this weekend. Then yeah, I'd start to be like, shit, like.
So you're basing it very much on table watching and results watching rather than answering this on performance basis.
Well, even if I look at the performance, like I said, I don't think we played awful.
Yeah, I don't think you played awful either.
And I'm hoping that this will then sort of result in what happened after we lost to United, where it's a bit of a wake-up call, because we hadn't lost in the league since then, and we only drew 2 games as well. So we were flying high, full of confidence, may have gotten a little bit complacent, and now we have Brentford, who are playing really well. It's my second favourite team. And then we have City straight after.
You know what's interesting about having Brentford straight after having Sean Dyche's Everton? Brentford are very much a team who can play very much in that mould as well.
Yeah.
So are you worried now Everton have given a blueprint for how to... Do you think that will have sustained success against Arsenal, playing in that way, if there is a blueprint there to how Everton played?
No, because whenever we face Brentford, at least now, we have the Ivan Toney buff. So we just have Arteta just put that tweet up. Whenever we play Brentford, until Ivan Toney moves on from Brentford, we're gonna have that there fresh in the memory, or to refresh in the memory. So, and considering it's at home as well, I think I'd be shocked if we were to lose. If we were to draw, I won't be shocked, because
You'll be slightly concerned.
Maybe a little bit, but the thing is, teams now, like, it's that typical sort of thing that happens. Like you see it with all great teams, like against City, against Barcelona, against Bayern Munich, against Liverpool as well. Like when you become a dominant and successful team, we don't have the success yet because obviously we haven't won titles. So, but like we're starting to become a dominant team.
Hey, you told me Liverpool were never a dominant team. Don't go back on your word now. Trying to fight me on that one.
Yeah, no, I think you said that they were the most dominant team. I didn't say I was.
I didn't say the. I never said the, because you can't. That is something you can't say.
I
did say we were a dominant team.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but I'm not saying you were the most dominant team.
Go on, semantics. I'm holding a grudge. That's the one that gets me.
You know what? We probably need to roll back the tape on this and see if you said the, because that's where I was. That's what I was getting ya. But yeah, like you see that then teams will then set up 2 banks of 4 or even 2 banks of 5 and play defensive and try to absorb the pressure. And it's then the onus is then on you to try and unlock them. And especially when you're playing at home, you have then even more of an onus to pick up wins. And those teams that you play against, they have an even greater incentive to set up even more defensively than what they would have if they were playing at home. So it's what we're gonna have to get used to. Liverpool, City, they got used to it. If you want to be a champion team, you need to learn how to play against 10 men behind the ball and unlock those defenses. So it comes with the territory.
Will they? Will they be the champion team after what we saw with City?
We're getting into that now.
Yeah.
You know what? Okay.
You don't have to answer that directly.
Okay,
I'm
so
not going to get the
when I was watching City Tottenham, I was comparing it to Everton Arsenal, and I was just like, this is way slower. There is way less effort, and like even though like both teams lost, Arsenal looked better in their loss than what City did. I think, can we agree on that?
Yep.
Yeah, and also I was thinking, like, especially before the goal came in, I was thinking, man, Tottenham like compared to Everton, Tottenham are giving City a lot of space, especially in the midfield. Like,
I wonder why that is.
like if we get like
5-4-1.
if Everton gave Arsenal this sort of space and time on the ball, we wouldn't have lost that game. So like, I was just like, well, like we had to come up against a team that was playing at a way higher intensity, way more hunger, and we only lost 1-0, and we looked better in the loss than what Man City looked as well. So at least this time, Tottenham didn't shit the bed. Maybe it was a good thing that they didn't go two goals up. Mm-hmm. Or maybe it was a good thing that Arsenal lost, because then at half time when they went in 1 goal up, they're like, well, Arsenal lost. We're not exactly doing them the biggest of favours if we were to shit the bed. So let's try to get the win here today, boys. So keep things on an even betting. But yeah, City, I don't know, like they still look a little bit slow, and they're taking too many touches on the ball instead of being a little bit more direct compared to what they were in earlier in the season. And I heard what like some of the pundits have said and all that. Like, you have players like Bernardo Silva, Mahrez, like Haaland's making the runs, but instead of them feeding him, first time, they're looking up and then they're taking a touch or two, and then they opt not to play that pass. Whereas De Bruyne, earlier in the season, he was just like, without even looking up, he was just like, oh, ball to feet, boom, out. Like I'm just putting into the space where I expect Haaland to be running into, or where I expect him to be, and you're not seeing that connection or that utilization of Haaland's strengths for the last couple of weeks.
Oh, definitely not.
So yeah, like it sort of then goes back to the question, like, and I'm starting to be more on Haaland's side. Like, I believe that City should be adapting to his strengths rather than him adapting to the way that City play. Because why have a number 9 like that? Like, it's ridiculous.
Why have? Well, what number does he wear now? I always think of him as 17. Is he still 17? Why have Kevin De Bruyne or not start him? My God, what are we doing? Him and Haaland are the only reason that this team is where they are. Without those two, they would not be much better than Liverpool this season. That's just. I just think they're miles off it. I think Pep is miles off it as well. Pep is sort of. Yeah, I'm starting to think that. I'm not completely there because I keep saying Arsenal and City haven't played each other, but the press conference the interview after the last Tottenham game was more of a crack than it was mind games. I think it was just showing his hand that this City team is broken, and it looked that way against and he's having an active part in breaking it. And I don't understand, because they started the season like a house on fire. They were going to win the league at a canter. They were easily the favourites for the Champions League. They were the best team. Arguably the best team in Europe, and they added arguably the best young striker in Europe. What could go wrong? I don't know. Is it time to start pointing fingers at Pep as what went wrong? Why? What? And Anfield was the first. I think he used it maybe before, and you can say that he's always been using a hybrid of the 3, but it became really prominent in that game at Anfield that he was using 3 at the back. It wasn't like this hybrid anymore. It wasn't inverting fullbacks. It wasn't all of that stuff, but basically still a 4-3-3. It just, for me, it became flat out 3-4-3 at that point with Foden at left wing back for that game, I think. It was just, I don't know. At that point, I was just like, what's he kind of playing at here? This is weird, especially when you've been playing so well already. And then the way it sort of spiraled out of control. Pep does make a point in his press conference, even though he was leaving a bit in on Liverpool, that this is their collapse and they're still the predominant title challenger. So let's not say everything's going wrong. They should still finish top 4 if that means anything with all these allegations. But like it's not a huge collapse, but my God, he's ticker with it too. And you know what's not made enough of a fuss about? I reckon you might be able to get this. What like I haven't heard enough about this, but what do you think is the biggest like fuss that should be made about the starting lineup of this game and of previous games?
Well, De Bruyne isn't starting.
Well, De Bruyne for this game, but if you think previous games as well, who else
Foden?
is a key player?
Foden.
Who else? At the back.
Laporte and Diaz.
Ruben Diaz. Ruben Diaz is one of the world's best defenders, or at least was, just like João Cancelo was one of the best fullbacks in the world. What is happening there? How is Ruben Diaz was like the model of leadership for like the last couple of years at City.
Wasn't he the captain?
How is
when Gundogan
he
didn't
was
play?
The captain?
Yeah.
Where is he? What is happening there? And no one's batted an eyelid. Like you go into games, and I think people now expect, Kanji will be the central centre back, Ake will be on the left. I guess Rico. I did like that Rico sort of played on the left. But he's still...
your boy Rico Lewis got caught.
Okay, let's...
Yes, it was a bad pass. It was a bad pass, but he got caught again.
Let's talk about what the goal is symptomatic. That goal is symptomatic of everything
but it was the same,
Pep is doing wrong.
It was the same as one of the goals from the first City Tottenham game, where Rodri loses the ball. This time he gave a bad pass. First time it was Edison giving it to Rodri and then him getting caught on the ball. But it was Rodri again.
You know what's more egregious in this whole move? Think of who picks up the ball off Edison. I think it's off Edison, and he splits the two centre backs. Can you remember who picked up the ball there?
Højbjerg.
Takes an awful touch. No, it's in the City play, because how it all starts. Someone drops between the centre backs and picks up the ball off Edison.
Was it
Kyle Walker? Kyle Walker has come from right back to drop between the centre back. That makes absolutely no sense for me. I don't know what you're trying to accomplish with that movement. Edison is fantastic with his feet. He doesn't need someone 5 yards in front of him picking up the ball. He doesn't need Kyle Walker to do that. If that's Kevin De Bruyne, fine. If we got someone with that much quality on the ball, you can pick up the ball, mate. Kyle Walker, why are we letting him pick up the ball there? Then the ball goes forward to Alvarez. Alvarez holds it up, but he doesn't have a right back who's supporting him. So it's either I can play this ball back to Akanji who's on the touchline for no apparent reason right now, or I could give it back inside to Rodri, who I had to wait for, and now he gets the ball under pressure, and now Højbjerg's just licking his lips because he's like, I think Rodri might pass this to this young 18-year-old boy who isn't sensational right here, and he's going to be weak if I go in and press on him. And that's exactly what happens and they score. That goal is symptomatic. Why? There is a point to inverting your fullbacks. But to do it to the point where both your fullbacks are playing within the width of the goalposts is absolutely ludicrous. What kind of angles are you trying to create with that? It makes no sense. And I think it just bore itself out. And you lost the game at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which is not an uncommon thing for Pep at this new Tottenham Stadium. But you've lost another game because, I don't know, what are you trying to do? Are you telling your players to do that? Or are they so reckless that they're deciding to make these crazy movements that have no function? Like, what is that all about? I'm sorry. Like, if that's down to Pep's doing, I don't see the rewards of it. It's not innovative to play three at the back. You're not tricking anyone by making us think that Rico Lewis is good enough to lead you to any sort of success, or not lead, but be a big part of any kind of success this season. He's just not good enough. Like, he's 18. He might one day be good enough to be your Fabian Delph or something like that. But right now, you want to win the Champions League and you want to win the Premier League, and Arsenal are setting this pace? No way, man. No way. Man City. Oof. Big out on Man City.
Have you sold their stock?
I never had stock because I hate City, so I revenge didn't buy it.
I think you need to have some in your portfolio, especially after they signed
you-
Haaland, and Haaland was banging hat tricks for fun.
Well, yeah, we were very impressed with City at the start of the season. Very impressed. And that's why they were just playing football, really, and using Haaland.
And it looked like they were having fun as well. Like he was getting fed by De Bruyne, he was getting fed by Foden, he was getting fed by Cancelo, and now he's not getting fed, he's being starved. Maybe he's getting starved on purpose so that they can feed him in the Champions League.
That's the ultimate 4D chess move from Guardiola.
Imagine that. Like I told you, I was watching Snatch last night, and there's a gangster that he basically feeds people to pigs, and he was explaining that in order for pigs to eat human flesh, you need to starve them for a couple of days. So maybe Haaland is the pig in this case, and the and the Champions League is the human flesh. So he's like, so Pep's like, no goals, no more goals in the Premier League. You're picking up the golden boot there. We're gonna feed him in the Champions League only.
Watch out, your boy, because your boy's next in the Champions League.
Wait, who's
Josko?
Leipzig. Look, you know what? If Holding can deal with Haaland, I have full confidence in Guardiola. And Guardiola actually has played against Haaland as well in Germany.
That will be some battle. I can't wait to do Champions League.
That'll be interesting, yeah. Man, I was gonna say something, but it completely just it came into the mind and then straight out. I think it was in regards to City and that. But that's what I was gonna say. Imagine if. Dude, alright, I think Harry Kane now has 16 or 17 goals in the Premier League.
Oh, we need to give our Harry Kane love as well.
But hang on, before we give the love, imagine if Haaland doesn't score any more goals.
Come on, man.
And Harry Kane pips him to the golden boot.
Well, the way Harry Kane is playing, I wouldn't quite put it past him.
You know what, though? It's possible.
You know what's annoying? It might still bear itself out that he sets the Premier League record. He probably should still set the Premier League record from this point. But you know what's annoying? When everyone was saying he'll get 45 goals this season, he'll get nearly 50 goals in the Premier League this season. I really wanted to push back hard on that and go I think he'll get 34, 35 goals this season. And it might be the case that I have egg on my face, he might score 41, 42 from this point. I don't know. I don't see it. There's a reason that those records stand where they are. Erling Haaland's great and all, but we've seen that he still has holes in his game. To think that he was going to score 40-plus goals in the Premier League alone was maybe a little bit ridiculous. Maybe he still might do it, but the way the City teams play, it's not really a criticism I'm in. Because the main thing is he's got to cop criticism from this game. He shouldn't. Because for me, him and De Bruyne, I keep saying, him and De Bruyne are the only reason that City are where they are right now. Because the rest of the team has not played to its standard. Now, they might not quite be Liverpool bad, but they're not quite far off it, the other players. And if they didn't have the addition of Haaland this season, they wouldn't be Liverpool bad because Liverpool are fucking horrendous. But I think they would be clinging on to a top 4 battle, to be quite honest. They wouldn't be near a title challenge. So there should be no criticism, but we do have to address that there are some holes in his game, and if Guardiola's trying to address that right now, it's not working, and Haaland's going to have to be patient if Guardiola's trying to break him in, because I don't think he should be broken in because he looked so exciting before, and I think he should just be allowed to run, please.
You know what, though? I think I saw in one of Pep's interviews last week or the week before, he said that he was asked about Haaland, and he said that he basically sort of criticized him a little bit, where he said he's coming too deep, and they didn't buy him to come in deep and be part of the build-up. They bought him to be higher up the field, and if he's not higher up the field, he won't be scoring goals. So by that logic, Pep is then aware that he doesn't want him playing as sort of that classical centre forward that's part of the build-up, holds the ball up, plays the 1-2s with the midfielders and whatnot.
He's not Sergio.
Yeah, so it's Haaland's doing that, but it's seen, at least publicly, Pep has said that he doesn't want him doing that.
Yeah, weird one. Because like it's been really prominent in recent weeks that he's
Yeah,
doing that.
yeah,
Uh,
and he doesn't look comfortable doing that.
oh hell no. No, his link up play is quite poor actually.
Yeah, and hey,
Like it's not
I
just
called that
average, it's
out.
actually just yeah.
I called that out weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Chelsea. I think Chelsea were the first one who really made it a prominent factor in their
Liverpool
game
for
at the
me.
bridge.
Liverpool for me.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
way back then. I saw it like because I saw the way that Van Dijk and was it Matip that played?
Might have been Matip.
Yeah, I
I might
saw
have been
the
Gomez actually. Yeah. Anyway, doesn't.
didn't Gomez play right back?
Oh yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
But anyway, doesn't
Gomez.
matter.
But basically, I saw the way that you guys were tracking him, basically pushing him further up the field and tracking him, and he tried to link up a couple of times, and it was just like this is awful, like awful. He can't play with his back to goal.
I think this will be a perfect moment to go to a guy who is maybe the best link-up striker in the world at the moment, and third player in Premier League history to hit that 200 goal mark. Also, with the same goal that he becomes the 200 in the 200 club, he also breaks the Tottenham Hotspur all-time goal scorer record, which is pretty cool to do it with the same goal. That's a cool one. 200 goals in the Premier League is staggering, and look, honestly, every time I saw Alan Shearer's record, of however many it is, I think it's in the 260s or whatever.
268.
I just thought, like, yeah, and you think Wayne Rooney got to what 208 or whatever? It's just like, who the hell is ever going to break Alan Shearer's record? Well, we have a guy who might do it because, and he's a little bit underrated for me, Harry Kane. It's kind of crazy. I think the perception, I don't know. I don't think he gets his flowers all that much, and that could be because he plays for Tottenham. Could be, I don't know what it is. But honestly, at the moment, for what he can do, I don't know. He'd be right up there pushing the best player in the world at the moment. In fact, I might just name him as the best player in the world at the moment. I think he's that
come
good.
on.
Who's better than him at the moment? Who's better than Harry Kane at the moment?
All round.
Just who's a better?
Are you saying on form or?
Yeah, pretty much on form, but it's pretty much the whole season as well. He's been this good. I reckon there's only one who can push him. Now, if Benzema was fit the whole season, then we'd have something different to talk about. But he hasn't been fit, so I'm going off facts.
But we're sort of we have a bit of a attacker bias. Like what about Casemiro? Casemiro's having an awesome season.
Yeah, and but the history of football has had an attacker bias for a reason.
I know.
Because they do the glamorous and arguably the most important job.
Probably the hardest job as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you could say the easiest job. It doesn't matter. It's all your perspective. But,
yeah.
You know, so yeah, whatever.
Look,
but I think, honestly, on form, I think he's the best player in the world at the moment. Because Haaland was on pace to easily be, and last time I did the top 25, Haaland was number one. But I'd have to put Kane for the all-round. But the fact that he's also scoring a shit ton of goals this season, and he's doing it all without Son. Son has been non-existent this season. He's the only reason Tottenham are in the top four, in the hunt for top four. So I don't know. He deserves his flowers. For me, the best player in the world at the moment. The only one who comes close, off the top of my head right now, is Victor Osimhen. So
another striker as well.
Yeah, they're my guys. And look, it's harsh to say Haaland and De Bruyne don't come close, and players like Vinny and stuff. But just on form, and like, can you imagine how much better Man City would look if they had Harry Kane up front? I know it's sacrilegious to say because Erling Haaland's on 25 goals, but Harry Kane, I don't know, just would look so much better playing for Man City.
He'd be able to link
Haaland
up
at the moment. He would. He'd be able to score. He does everything. He'd be fantastic.
You know why I guess he isn't given as much praise or credit? One, he's English. So if he was Brazilian or Spanish or Italian or maybe
some people argue
not
that
German.
The English players get too much credit because of the Premier League centric and everything like that.
I still think that there is that little like, oh, he's an English player. Like there's still that stigma around that where they're not like given that world praise at least. English praise, yes, but not world praise. There's that, and also the fact that he plays for Tottenham, and he hasn't won anything.
There's a few reasons.
Had they have won at least like an FA Cup or a Carabao Cup or something, like, then yes, like then he had like to go with all his individual accolades. He then has like one or two or a couple of team accolades as well to back it up. If he was playing at City or Liverpool or overseas for a club that's actually like winning titles, he'd then be. You wouldn't get any pushback in regards to your claim that he's the best player in the world, like on form currently. There would be zero pushback at all. But because he's playing for a team that's struggling to get top four currently, and they haven't won anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I almost think that reaching a Champions League final and Neil, it's harsh because that is the Harry Kane success story, I guess. No trophies, and all you can point to is that Champions League final and competing for a Premier League title in the anomaly season where Leicester get it. So, yeah, look, I totally agree. And off the top of my head, if you're thinking of clubs who could use a striker like that, obviously we put out City before they got Haaland, but Bayern Munich are just crying out for Harry Kane.
United as well.
I don't know. I don't think the jump up is enough. It doesn't guarantee him trophies. Otherwise, don't move. Just stay at Tottenham and keep scoring goals at Tottenham and be the man at Tottenham. Unless it's Bayern Munich where you're really pushing to win the Champions League, I don't see the point. It's got to be like a move where you're going to win. You're going to win trophies, and that one fills it for me. But I wouldn't mind if he stayed at Tottenham because just the whole one club. I want to see him push this Premier League record. He kind of the predicament he's in kind of reminds me of LeBron in the NBA. It's just like now it's just
thinking that at the back of my head.
Yeah, it's just only about the scoring record, but his team can't win shit. They're well off it. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of fun to watch.
Well, he needs to get 68 goals. We're halfway through the season. Let's say he gets another 8 goals by the end of the season. So in the next 7
conservative
17. Yeah, in the next 17 games he gets another 8 goals. Then he has 60 goals left. I think he's 20. I'm not sure if he's turning 30 within this season or if he's turning 30 next season. But let's say he has he can definitely play for 4 more years. But I think what might happen with him is that he might start to revert or follow a similar path to Wayne Rooney. Yeah, where he starts to drop back into the midfield, so the goals will dry up. So I'm not sure if he'll be getting 20 goals a season. Maybe for the next 2 seasons he might still reach 20, but after that it might start drying up where it's 15 goals, 10 goals if he's dropping further and further back. So it might take him longer than 5 or 6 seasons rather than 3 or 4.
Yeah, it might still be touch and go, but if he stays in the Premier League that whole time, I think he should probably do it. Or he might just go to Bayern Munich in the summer and we're all done with it. And he goes to try and win a Champions League. But anyway, he deserves his flowers. He's in the 200 club. That's incredible in itself. And if he does stay, let's see him go for this record. That could be fun.
Well, it depends what his we don't know how players think and what motivates them. So does the fact that he can become the best Premier League goal scorer motivate him, or does the fact that he can move to a Bayern Munich or I think Man City now is out of the question. He's not going there now with Haaland. Man United, yes, and considering that they have they're looking better and better under Ten Hag. And do you remember I said if Arteta can't get the job done, I'd want Ten Hag in? So I was giving Ten Hag his praise and whatnot last season. But yeah, Bayern Munich would probably be the perfect club for him to pick up a couple of titles and possibly even a Champions League. So what motivates him more? Becoming a Premier League all-time great or possibly becoming if he can win a Champions League, he's guaranteed to win a couple of league titles for Bayern. But to win a Champions League with Bayern, he could then become one of. Would you then put him in the one of the all-time great strikers if he can win a Champions League, even if he does move to Bayern?
And depends how big a part of it he was, obviously. But the beauty, and obviously he has a World Cup Golden Boot as well. So he's already got that. He's probably second or third tier in that striker list as we speak. So Champions League, a big part, the main part of a Champions League title. Yeah, you can put him up a few rungs. So, but the beauty for him is he's already a Premier League legend. He could leave in the summer, and he's absolutely already a Premier League legend. He'll probably. It'll be the other interesting race will be to see if he can pass Wayne Rooney this season, because I think he's got every chance of doing that.
Well, he should.
The way he's scoring.
If he scores 9
this
more
season, goals. Yeah, he needs to score 9 more. But like you said, 8 was conservative, so yeah, you think he can probably score 9. But yeah,
and considering
definitely deserves his flowers.
Considering he's because Son is not on form, he's the main goal scorer for Tottenham. You would expect the goals to come through him, or the majority of chances to come through him as well. So
definitely.
Yeah, he could get it. He could overtake Wayne and he'd become the second all-time goal scorer in the Premier League era. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
It's nice to be talking about a Tottenham subject with praise. And Harry Kane's probably the only guy who's. I've liked Bentancur, he's been alright.
Especially with an Arsenal fan, but it's probably more so to do with the fact that they beat a direct rival to our league title.
You're not salty
campaign.
With Tottenham this weekend.
Nah, because they did the job that we expected them to. I last weekend or the weekend before, I said I was a Tottenham fan when they were versing City. And considering that we picked up 6 points against them, our job is done. So Tottenham can't derail our season. So yeah, go. Well done, Tottenham, for beating for at least taking 3 points off of City. But moving on to our next topic. Do you want to go there?
Go where you want to go, man.
Do you want to touch on it, or have we said enough?
There's no definitive answer.
I don't know what else needs to be said on Liverpool, in all honesty, because some people are saying that FSG aren't doing right by him, and I heard the notion that FSG touting a sale was a tactical play so that they did not have to spend so much or very little now in the January transfer window, because if the club's up for sale, then as potential outgoing owners, you don't want to invest any more in the club or spend any more of the club's money to build up its value.
People who think that the answer is to go out and spend money and put a Band-Aid on this are just completely delusional. That's not the solution. I think it's very clear now. And you only have to look at how uninspiring Cody Gakpo has looked since coming in. And what do you expect him to do? He's going into a sinking ship. He's not going to... he's going to bring his massive bucket and tip out all the water. I don't think so. It's just there's no one player on the planet who could do that, honestly. No one could come into this situation right now and look great.
Sadio Mane
might be able to... No, it's well beyond that, man. It's well beyond that. This was so poor. And I don't know, far out, man. It's terrible. What else can we point to?
The thing is, I still revert back to the point that I made, I think 2 pods ago or 3 pods ago, where I was last year you would bring in you would interchange 1 or 2 or 3 players, and the system would look exactly the same. The effort would still be there, the high press would still be there, the quality would still be there. But now you interchange a couple of players and everything's just fallen apart. So the system itself has fallen apart, as well as the personnel. So
this is becoming a very hot topic about Jurgen Klopp and his system.
Well,
Definitely. I've heard a lot more of that, I think, in the last couple of weeks. I think whatever criticism you level at Liverpool right now is fair. To be quite honest,
I'm honestly
like you
not
can say
sure.
any,
Like,
and I
what?
think that's the sentiment that is shared by everyone, including our own manager, which is very scary in itself.
Because
No one knows.
yeah, because
No one
the thing
knows what
is
has happened here.
because the thing is like, yes, teams can have like, their blips of like, especially the great teams, or like the teams that, like, we expect them to be challenging for the title this season. So those teams, you expect them to have like, maybe 2 losses in a row, or like a draw and a loss, or something like that. So like they have a blip, maybe once or twice in the season. But this is way longer than a blip. Like it's been going on for like weeks and weeks, maybe even months, you could say. I think
He had a
someone
good little spell
someone
before the World Cup.
someone posted since the new year,
The goal scorer.
the leading goal scorer is the Leicester defender for Liverpool.
Face. Yeah.
Like, so that means like what? Your players have only scored like 1 goal individually. Like, so no player has scored more than 2 goals. Like, that's crazy. I as an outsider and someone who doesn't watch them week in, week out, but like watches them, on occasion. I can't pinpoint it. Like, they just, they look awful.
Man, I can't pinpoint it, but I've sort of stopped. I've stopped watching them intently. I can't with that.
But you know what though? Like, you can't, because of everything that Klopp's done. You can't fire him, can you? Because if FSG fire him, the backlash is going to come back on them. Like 100%.
I'm at the point where I don't know. Are we safe from relegation? We should be safe from relegation. I'm kind of at the point where we just say to Jurgen first and foremost, but anyone else who's just like Fabinho is the second one. These players and the manager and these people who appear just out of ideas and burnt out, just go. Go for like 3-4 months. Just go. Take as long as you need. Leave the situation. We'll put it in the assist. We'll put it in Pep's hands. We'll let fucking Bacetic or whatever his name is hold the midfield, and you guys just go. We'll get enough points to avoid relegation. But you go, and when you come back, make sure you're ready to go again, because what we have seen this season just cannot continue. And if we're not going to fire you, maybe we need to fucking do something in terms of trying to get some of these players back. I was kind of at this point in the 2021 season. So, but the one big thing I keep saying, that's my silver line, but the one big thing that season was we started the season quite well, and we were top of the table, I think, at Christmas. Even though that season started a bit later, but even that season I got to this point. So I think we need to see more Nat Phillips for sure. No more Joe Gomez. Let's get Nat Phillips in there. At least I can enjoy watching Nat Phillips. He's just a very limited player who's just got to put his heart out there. He's got to give his best. That's all I'm asking for right now. More Nat Phillips, please. But honestly, like, he's not going to change anything tactically. We know that. He's not going to... what else do we know? We don't know anything about Liverpool. What? I don't know. I'm so bereft, man. Honestly, every time we go to Liverpool at the moment, what kind of insight am I going to give you? There's no insight to give. What is happening here? I don't know.
But you know what?
I just don't know.
But also, if you look back if you look at the replays of some of the goals, you have people that are just ball watching, and they're just walking, and they're just like, "Oh, it's not my problem," and like, and just being like that. That's not like even half a second, but like a second too slow to react. And at this level, even half a second is the biggest differentiator between teams and between players and whatnot. But yeah, like, it's just the effort and the intensity. It just seems like everything is gone. And you know what? You know how I said a crazy timeline would be Man United winning the title because City get docked points. City, Liverpool, and Everton all get relegated, and that way you guys can have your Merseyside derby in the Championship, and you can still have your modern day rivalry with City, and you can have Pep versus Klopp in the Championship as well.
Jesus Christ. Have we had enough fun with that one? Fuck that.
But yeah, like as an outsider and someone who I liked watching them play. I liked watching them play from an annoying perspective, because it's like, man, like they're just playing so well, and like if I was a coach, I'd want my team to play with that sort of intensity and work rate.
I think you've seen that influence on a lot of coaches, even Pep himself.
But then also from one perspective, it's like it annoyed me at how successful Liverpool were, because I have this little bit of like, well, it's probably more so because like my team isn't like, because we finished like what, 8th 2 seasons ago, and then like 5th last season. It's like we're not having that same success, and we should be in that echelon of clubs that are like in that top 3, top 2, top 4, whatnot. But obviously every club goes through its transitionary period and whatnot. So I don't know. Hopefully, for your guys' sake, I believe that this should be a normal summer in terms of like everyone gets like a 1 month, 1.5 month break.
We had a World Cup break.
I know,
there's no excuse there anymore. There's just no excuse for anything like that. I don't know.
But the thing is, you had numerous players leave for the World Cup, so it's not like you could have worked with that team and those players and whatnot. So I'm not even sure how much of a break it was in terms of Klopp trying to reinvigorate and try to get everyone back on board, because like Trent wasn't there, Kanate wasn't there, Van Dijk wasn't there. Like half your starting 11, if not almost the entire starting 11, was not there.
You'd expect that from a team like Liverpool for sure. Well, last season's Liverpool.
Yeah, you would expect that. But then on the same note, Arsenal as well. Like Martinelli left, Jesus left, Saka left, Partey left, Xhaka left. Pretty much our entire starting 11, bar 1 or 2 players, went to the World Cup. And we haven't had that dip that you guys have. City as well. Yeah, like, I guess, yeah, for any top club, you're going to have, you know, pretty much your entire starting 11 leaving for a World Cup. But, yeah, I don't know what more to say on this topic, because, like, I think we've covered it in enough detail, and there's just so much wrong. I wouldn't say rotten at the moment, because it's not like the players have like revolted or anything like that, but
well, it might be rotten with the instability coming from the top as well. It's very Chelsea-esque last season.
Yeah.
No, there's nothing solid about what is going on at Liverpool right now.
Yeah. But yeah, is there anything else that you want to cover before?
I was gonna say Liverpool. If I have anything I want to say, then I'll say it in the future, because like I can't keep doing the same segment each week where I come on and I just say I don't know.
I think that's the biggest problem. Like, we can't identify the problem, and maybe Klopp can't identify the problem. It's seeming that way.
He came out and said it after the Wolves game. He pretty much said, I can't remember what he said, but he said words to that effect. I can't figure it out. Scary, man.
Yeah.
It's not good.
I think everyone is bereft.
It's bizarre. It's very bizarre.
Yeah.
This season is bizarre. I keep saying it. But it's just, let's see if there's an upturn with Champions League coming back soon.
Yeah, hopefully. But yeah, look, I'm gonna hand over the floor to you, and then we can wrap up this puppy once we cover another topic or two. I'm guessing you want to touch on Europe.
A few European things. I don't know where. Well, I guess the Milan derby, and Inter win 1-0 in this, which isn't a big surprise given where we've been doing our Milan segments. I think the main thing that we're gonna say for all of Europe is not much has changed. I don't know how much depth we need to go in. Pioli finally got the fear in this game and played 5-3-2. Was a bit cautious, I guess, for the first time. But the mad thing for me is he starts with Giroud and Origi up front and leaves Rafael Leao on the bench. Like, what the hell are you doing with that? Like, you can't start Giroud over Leao. I
Oh, hang
get
on.
why you might want to start Origi because at least he'll work and he'll yeah.
We just
You're
lost
right.
you for a sec. Connection. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
But now
okay,
we're,
okay.
we're good. We're good.
Yeah,
We're good.
I get why you'd maybe want to start with Origi to sort of offer that work rate against the ball when Giroud and Leao both can't do it. But why you would start with Giroud over Leao at the moment, I can't understand. And it showed that way in the first half because Milan could not get out of their own half. They were just kept penned back. Those three creative midfielders of Inter and Mkhitaryan, Shalanoglu and Barella were just buzzing about, keeping the ball. Milan just could never counterattack because what do you expect? You've got Olivier Giroud as your player who you're allowing not to track and not to press as much. And obviously, he's not going to get it behind anyone. So I don't know what you're thinking with that. But it was the Lautaro Martinez story, and he's another on the topic of players who don't maybe receive their flowers. I think he's another one. He is fantastic. He's in great form at the moment, wearing the armband for Inter. I was talking about, I think, on the European Roundup or the Wrap last week about Victor Osimhen maybe being the hope for Serie A and obviously the hope for Napoli. And I really hope that he stays and sort of tries to build something there because I think he's a fantastic footballer. I think he appears to like, and by the way, he scored 2 goals on the weekend against Spezia again, and a game that he didn't even play well in. But he still gets 2 goals, so kind of doing the Haaland thing even there. But he just gets it. His leadership has taken on leaps and bounds this season. I think he is the player that Napoli look to, and he instills confidence in his teammates. The partnership that him and Kvaratskhelia have struck up, the rapport he seems to have with the Napoli fans, he just seems to get it, and he's still only mid-20s. He's still 24, in fact, so he's still quite young, and he's only when you put it in those terms, he's only 2 years older than Erling Haaland, and right now I think he's a better striker than Erling Haaland playing right now. Even though, look, I need to keep saying it to myself. Erling Haaland has 25 goals at this stage of the season, so like I can't be this critical on him. But like for the way, I'm particularly impressed with Victor Osimhen's link up and hold up play this season. It's just gone on to the next level, and then with the goal scoring feats as well. I think this is his highest scoring season in Serie A, and he's still got the best part of half a season to add to it. So he's been fantastic, and he was injured for a big portion of the first part of it. So he's unbelievable, but I can't remember. I got off topic, but Milan, Inter with Lautaro, I think is another fantastic player. Looked all right with the armband, scores the winner. Probably could have had another 1 or 2 in this game, but he's always a threat. He's another one who could fit into a Bayern or a City even. I know we're talking. I shouldn't even talk about that. That doesn't matter anyway. But I hope he stays at Inter and I think he kind of wants to stay at Inter. And I hope they try and build something there. But with the loss of Skriniar recently, that's not positive for them. The Milan clubs seem to be regressing, both of them. But what must be said when I look at the landscape of Europe and I look at the landscape of the Champions League in particular, at this stage, we cannot ride out Inter Milan from making a deep run and being in the mix to win it. With teams looking unconvincing such as City, such as Bayern, such as Real Madrid, who lose to Mallorca on the weekend, admittedly, they do name a weakened lineup, a very changed team. No Benzema, who I think got injured in the last game, which is terrible for them. Modric on the bench to start, Kroos on the bench to start. So yeah, they're having a shuffle because, like I said, they're going to have a really busy February. Barcelona are out of the competition, who are playing well. They win 3-0 against Sevilla at home. But yeah, like all these Man United who are playing well, who aren't in the competition, never were. Arsenal, who are fantastic, not in the competition. Like, it is not beyond the realms of possibility that Inter are one of the strongest sides in the competition this season. And their tendency to get up for big games, I think they've been fantastic in big games. They've beaten Napoli, now they beat Milan. They've been really poor in against smaller sides in Serie A, and that is why they're not challenging for the title. But yeah, my big takeaway, and I'd be interested to get your thoughts on it, maybe as a prelude to the Champions League sort of stuff. But do you give Inter a good shot at winning this Champions League given the circumstances of the other clubs who are in it?
I haven't watched into that closely enough, but considering that they looked, at least in the second game against Bayern, I think they looked okay. But they knocked out Barca, and they have every chance to do it. It's probably more so because you have three teams faltering in Liverpool, Real, and City. So that then helps their chances.
I would put PSG and Bayern in that category. They're just helped by playing in weaker leagues, I think.
But also, it doesn't... Yeah, with those... Yeah, yes, they play in weaker leagues, so they're not facing strong competition week in, week out. But then, because there's teams faltering and Bayern, they're not that invincible Bayern that they were, 2 or 3 seasons ago or in the past. They do look like they can be get at. And PSG, I've already said numerous times, they don't have a midfield. They don't have a strong mentality either. They can get...
And if I could give a word of advice to our listeners right now, do not watch PSG. They are a terrible watch. They are horrible to watch. Although Messi still has his moments. So I don't know. Is that enough to win a whole Champions League? I don't know. Honestly, it's so kind of wide open right now, apart from Napoli. But even then, you're making Napoli your favourites. That just shows you how wide open the Champions League is right now. Even though Napoli, for me, footballing-wise, are clearly the best team in that competition.
Yeah, but you know what? With so many teams not at their best, they have every chance to win it.
Yeah, and the question... And that's why this season's been weird. Why have so many teams been... Maybe I'm judging them too harshly. Maybe I'm just too critical of these teams. But for me, I just have not been impressed with what I've seen from so many clubs. So many of these big elite clubs just have been nowhere near the level that I expected from them. A lot of them are having similar problems to... Bayern, I think of. Same problems as last season. Even PSG now go into that category. Same problems as last season. Milan are having these unforeseen problems. So Real Madrid now. I think Real Madrid, I don't know. I don't want to say it wasn't a fluke what they did last season, but it was
in that realm.
Incredible. It was extra. Yeah, it was extraordinary what they did last season in terms of winning the Champions League. Because as we said on numerous times, they were... I think after the group stage, they were 8th or something favourites for the whole thing. Crazy that they came from that right. And then you think of anyway, we've done that. That thing needs to be put on DVD and needs to be consumed by the audiences because it's incredible what they did last season to win that thing.
Well, if you look at their run, the fact that they went through pretty much you'd say the 3 favourites or 4 favourites. No, 4 because they went through Chelsea, 4. PSG, Man City, and then they beat Liverpool in the final. So they went through the 4 favourites to win the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's you cannot be... You know how some teams have a super easy run and they end up winning the final? This is the opposite of that, and there is 0 arguments after you go through a run like that and win.
No, well...
I think they
weren't the best. They weren't the best side in Europe, though. I will say that City and Liverpool were better sides than them last season.
Probably overall,
but they beat both of them.
Yeah, they beat both of them.
But yeah, no, I think the one that I will always point to for that, the thing that I'll say to that is they were the better team in all of those ties for a grand total of 2 hours of football. Out of 8 or whatever hours of football, however many, it was probably more than that. For me, they were hardly ever the better side, but when they were, Benzema was incredible and they maximised and milked those moments. But I guess the fact that we're talking about last season's Champions League run shows just how unflattering the European football in general is at the moment. That's why I can't wait for the Champions League. I guess I still can't wait for the Arsenal City clash, even though City not being able to beat Tottenham after Arsenal lose points has sort of dampened that one a bit for me. I'm just more solidified in my belief that this City team isn't actually very good.
Yeah.
Let's see. I don't know who's going to turn it on in the Champions League. I don't know if these teams could just turn it on now. I think they've been poor for so long, or I don't know. Maybe Bayern. Bayern could maybe turn it on.
Well,
Bayern are one of those.
Would you say that they strengthened Bayern? They got a goalkeeper in. They got Cancelo in.
Jan Sommer hasn't looked convincing.
Mane should come back.
If Mane comes back, that maybe changes the dynamic. But Mane's not exactly what they need. They need Lewandowski if they're going to play in the way that they play. Otherwise, they need to play with more subtlety and more control. But Bayern are just, they're all over the shop. They win 4-2 against Wolfsburg on the weekend. It's a good win if you look at the result. But if you look at the way they played, again, no control on the game. Wolfsburg have so many chances. Kimmich gets sent off, and Kimmich for me is, I don't know, he's a bit arrogant. He is the leader of the arrogance that Bayern show, not in a good way at times. So, they can be swashbuckling. They can score goals. But they're also very fragile at the back. And in big games where they need to win them, they can be very wasteful in front of goal. And that points to playing the style for a Lewandowski, but not having a Lewandowski. And so, they're a team who maybe can run the tables and get a bit hot for the Champions League run. PSG, I'm interested to see if they are, but Mbappe, I think he's going to miss the first leg of the tie against Bayern.
Yeah, he got injured, didn't he?
Yeah, he did get injured.
Yeah.
That's a bad one. And Neymar has been very in and out of the team since the World Cup. So, again, I'm not convinced by his mentality post-World Cup. Messi's looked good. Messi's had his moments. But Messi is also a player who I don't think gives you enough to justify not working off the ball. But, hey, maybe they won't meet enough to... It's kind of Bayern is kind of the worst matchup in terms of that. Like, I think they'll just outwork PSG everywhere if these players don't want to work hard against the ball. But they too have their fragilities. It'll be interesting. They used Pavard at centre back Bayern in this game, and I thought that might be good, but he was all over the shop. He was freaking everywhere, and not in a good way. So, I don't know, man. I'm doing this European roundup, but I really don't have anything fun, interesting to say that much on this. It's kind of a pity Barca are still in the Champions League. They'd be one of the more solid contenders, to be fair. But to be fair, they got the group of death. That's a bit harsh on them. Yeah. That's why, that's why I give Inter a chance as well going far, because they're battle hardened from that group already. But who knows? I think they have Porto in the next round, so they should be all right. But having said that, the point that I make on Inter is they're a big game team, and the fact that they're playing Porto might not be the best thing. So that's kind of scary in itself. But that just points to all the flaws these teams have. So I don't think I'm missing anything from the continent. I'm sure there's better podcasts who are more enthused with what they're seeing, but for me, it's an overall mood, and I'm not enthused with what I've been seeing from all over the place, really, to be quite honest.
It's probably that January lull just before the Champions League starts.
It could be.
It's probably just that.
That's why I'm hoping. Yeah, I'm hoping the Champions League fixes it. But these teams need to play better for it to be fixed. That's the main thing, and they're not at the moment.
Yeah, well, there's still time for them to turn on the
much.
Afterburners
Champions League is in a week.
I know, but they still. I think they. I'm hopeful, at least. I'm an optimist. I'm hopeful to see some good football. But I'm hoping City still continue their shit stain on their shit stain on football. At least until after we play them. But yeah, other than that, just
quick pod.
Yeah, quick pod, and you're starting to go dark. I can barely see you almost. The viewers can barely see you. Yeah,
it doesn't matter. You don't need to see me. You just need to hear me.
Need
my disgruntlement everything. I'm getting curmudgeon-y, aren't I? I'm a bit of a curmudgeon now.
Well,
everything I said today was pretty critical.
I can understand
who did I give? I gave Kane a bit of praise. Who else did I give a bit of praise? Everton got a bit of love. Sean Dyche got a little bit of love. Apart from that, not much love to be given out from this side.
Yeah, well, I can understand the zero love considering your team got whooped 3-0.
Well, no love going that way. Yeah. That's for sure.
So it's understandable, but I think that's
No, but you've got to understand. I consider myself a football lover before a Liverpool fan, to be quite honest. So they're pretty equal, to be fair. But I still love football enough to respect good football. It just hasn't been enough to respect at the moment. At least the Bundesliga is kind of interesting. What is it? 5 points between the top 5. I think in the Bundesliga, the 5 teams who are in the top 5 at the moment, they're pretty much in order of. I think Eintracht should be higher. I still don't like Dortmund. They're given a gift of an early red card in this game against Freiburg. Freiburg, I said, were the frauds out of that top 6. I think it's bearing out that way. Yeah, Freiburg. But yeah, Dortmund get their gift, and if any team does not deserve a gift, it's Dortmund. But they got it anyway, and they win 5-1 at home against Freiburg. So that bolsters them. I think they're 3 points off the top. I think Leipzig only drew, which is bad for them. I still put them as the second best team. But the good news is Union Berlin won, and they're still just a point off the top. So that's an exciting story, even though their football's maybe not the most exciting. But let's hope they can sustain it, because I love that story. That's great. And if they could knock off Bayern, that would be fantastic. But yeah, the Bundesliga is fun. It's a fun title race there. I think Eintracht have a chance as well. I think they won 3-0 against a hapless Hertha. I didn't get to watch that one, but they're a good team at the moment. I love watching Kolo Muani. He's a very good striker. Be interested to see if anyone picks him up. But yeah, I think I've been through all this material with Europe, so waiting to see things that sort of either change my perspective or just new things that I can see. Maybe I'll have to start watching more mid-table teams.
That will be. I think watching mid-table teams will then give you a insight into potential prospects for the big teams to sign.
Yeah, there's still a few mid-table teams, I think. Leverkusen are one who I still want to keep a keen eye on, obviously, for the Xabi Alonso factor. And they have a few exciting players, but they lost again. They're just soft. They're a soft team at the moment. They need to get some resolve and grit into them. Bilbao have a few exciting players. Oyan Sanset scores. I think he scored a hat-trick on the weekend from midfield. Surprise, surprise, Valverde puts Muniain and Sanset in the same midfield and they produce their most convincing performance for weeks. So well done on that, Ernesto. Should have seen that one a long time ago. In fact, he saw it at the start of the season because Muniain was starting most games and Sanset was starting as the 8, and they looked so much better for it, and they were in a top 4 hunt. I guess with so many teams in Spain slipping up, Sociedad slip up at home to Valladolid. But Sociedad, I look at their first 11 and they got so many players out at the moment. Kind of unfair to grade them, but they have had a lot of injuries during the season, so they've been doing well anyway. Betis lost 4-3 at home to Celta Vigo. I think they were trying to rectify me. I sort of said, where are the goals going to come? So in this game, they just come out and played the most open football I've seen. It was quite exciting to watch, but ultimately they're not that solid at the back and they lose the game. So they lost. Athletic can only draw 1-1 at home to Getafe. So all of a sudden, Bilbao are only 6 points off. And if teams around them continue... And Villarreal lost to Elche away. And Elche were one of 2 sides in Europe's Big 5 leagues who are yet to register a win. And Villarreal only go over there and lose to them. So now it's just Cremonese who haven't won in Serie A. But yeah, so it's becoming a bit more of a shit show in the top 4 battles across Europe. I think Serie A, Lazio only drew 1-1 away to Verona this morning, so they're not convincing. Obviously, Milan lost. Inter were big winners. Obviously, Roma are big winners. They're up into 3rd, and I'll give you one guess at where what style the 2 goals that Roma scored, how they scored their 2 goals in their game against Empoli.
Set pieces.
2 corners, exactly the same thing, and they win 2-0. Great. That's what you get from watching Roma. I think Dybala might have got injured, which is tragic. But yeah, at least they won and they're up into third. So the call of Mourinho maybe pushing this team into top four might be a good one there. But yeah, those top four races in those leagues have become a bit of shit shows where the teams are very inconsistent. Oh, and Atalanta lost 1-0 away at Sassuolo. So that's a bad day for them. Sassuolo have put together wins against Milan and Atalanta back-to-back. So that's good for them, getting them away from the relegation zone. But yeah, very inconsistent for those races for top four in those two leagues. And I think that pretty much hits everyone that I saw, at least in Europe.
Well, Caleb, that may be...
But you got the roundup. As long as you know I'm not happy. I'm not happy about it.
Unfortunately, we
can't...
That's
why I'm dark. I'm dark about it.
We can't see how unhappy you are about it, but we can definitely hear...
you can see my mood.
We can definitely hear the disgruntlement.
And you can see my mood.
But I think that's a good way to wrap things up, though. I think next time...
An hour and a half, guys. Enjoy it. Like, bite-sized.
I think it's sort of on purpose, that because you're trying to save a little bit of energy by not turning the light on. Otherwise, we probably could have gone for another hour.
Wouldn't be much better.
Yeah. Well, Caleb,
hey, we could keep going. I can turn the light on now. I've just got nothing else to say, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I don't have much to say either. There wasn't too much topics or football or anything like that, and obviously we spoke on the whole Man City stuff, and like there's not even much to say there. Like, it's just speculation at this point in time. Once the punishment's handed out, then we can start speaking about it, I guess, in greater detail and whatnot. So, Caleb,
I'm nodding for the record. Yeah.
Caleb, it's been a pleasure to everyone listening and to everyone watching and barely seeing Caleb. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment as well on any things that you may agree on or disagree on, and let us know your thoughts. Share it as well. Share the video along to people. Yeah. And thanks for coming, and bye for now.